My name is Chris Hearsey, and I am the co-founder and chair of the board of directors.
My name is Nathan Johnson, and I am executive director.
My name is Nivedita Raju, and I am Director of Legal Affairs and Research.
My name is Matthew Carroll, and I'm the Deputy Executive Director.
Hello, my name is Julia Millett, and I'm the Internship Coordinator
At the Space Court Foundation.
Of the Space Court Foundation.
At Space Court Foundation.
At the Space Court Foundation.
of the Space Court Foundation.
You might be asking yourself, what is the Space Court Foundation?
The Space Court Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit
promoting space law education and the rule of law.
We're the coolest bunch of space lawyers and space law enthusiasts you'll meet this side of the industry.
The Space Court Foundation consists of practitioners, scholars, and young professionals who have a strong interest and passion for space law, and in particular, the rules that govern space activities across a wide variety of law.
Through a number of our programs, we aim to increase awareness about the intricacies of international law, how space is regulated, and try and include more students and young professionals from the community.
The Space Court Foundation is also the exclusive administrator of the IISL Manfred Locke Space Law Moot Court Competition for the North American region.
In fact, I joined the Space Court Foundation through this competition. This competition is where I first met the founders, Nathan and Chris, and they welcomed me on board.
In addition, we have an amazing internship program with interns spanning the globe.
I'm very happy to say that we have interns working with the organization from 5 different continents around the world. And so it is truly an international community, which, I think really speaks to the goals of the foundation.
I'm very excited at how successful our internship program has been, especially through the pandemic, having somewhere between 20 to 30 interns so far a year over the last year and a half at any given time is, I think, quite remarkable. And so much work has been done
under our Space Law Library, including our International Yearbook of Space Activities, our Space Law Dictionary, the National Space Law Compendiums, and other research guides and archive projects.
Not only do we specialize in research, but we offer amazing content,
including our Space Court video series, monthly panels on topics in space law and policy.
We also have an interview series for women of color in space.
Our animated show, Stellar Decisis, featuring a fictional court in the future, handling future hypothetical space law scenarios.
I like to consider it an animated version of Law and Order, but in space.
And our comedy variety show, The Spacebar Show.
The Space Court Foundation, when I first conceptualized it, was a realization about where we are going as a species. I was a space historian. I was a graduate fellow at the Air and Space Museum. I was a special assistant to the director of the Office of Space and Advanced Technology at the US State Department. I had worked for a senator. But all these experiences together, and then going to law school, and then eventually graduating, I realized that there's a lot of things that aren't familiar and understood to the whole community, because everyone has little bits and pieces of it. When you have a space law background and an engineering background or a science background, that also changes the way that you also look at the law. And figuring out what would be the best way to bring space law as a community together globally and do it in a very, very methodical, collaborative way was how I began thinking about this type of nonprofit.
I helped co-found it with my colleague, Chris Hearsey, back in October of 2018. We were interested in how we could pursue some of these ideas that we had for enhancing or communicating about space law in new ways.
My other thought is how do we present all this? And Nathan, knowing him for many years, I knew he had a background in film. It clicked in my head that the way that we do it is to present content to students and professionals so that they get and understand where we're going and how the court functions. And to a large degree, my intent was to normalize and get people to understand that, a lot of what we understand in daily life will be applied to space. I also wanted to tell stories, and I knew Nathan was someone that could help me with that. And
We were interested in how we could pursue research of space law outside of some of the opportunities that were available at the time in new ways, and also doing it in a way that helped communicate it to a broader audience as well.
so once Nathan understood and was convinced, we realized that there were lots of other things we could do with the foundation, which includes trying to develop a research program, a real research program that we wanted to be a bit different, and we wanted to do the things that someone hasn't really done yet, and realized that to a large degree, a lot of the law that we understand as space law, it's very distributed. It's not co-located in one nice place where you can sort of stream through it. And what we haven't done as part of a profession is laid out what is space law and how did it come to be and how did it evolve. And that's where my background in history just triggered that thought and realized that this is how we needed to structure a research program around very simple questions to lay the foundations so that people can look at the appropriate markers that symbolize public international law, that symbolize national law, and that symbolize international agreements and principles of law. And then we had to figure out how to translate that to the general public. And we were able to build out an internship program that put together a lot of these elements very, very clearly.
The Space Court Foundation is made up of young professionals and other people working in space law and policy today who have an interest in continuing the research of space law and policy, as well as helping to mentor new entrants into our industry.
Our officers are made up of some of the best and brightest young professional lawyers and space community professionals, help execute the vision of the Space Court Foundation. They work so many hours on developing programs that just benefit the whole space community. And they are a group of folks that are making such a tremendous impact, I think, across the community. And we're always looking for officers, again, that are self-starters, that have a passion for space law, and that want to work with students and be collaborative as well. And so really, really excited that we have been so lucky to have such wonderful group and core of officers to execute the vision that Nathan and I have set for the foundation.
I was intrigued by the concept, and I knew that I wanted to find this sort of community, and I would have appreciated it myself being a student.
Before joining Space Corps, I was featured in the Humans of SGAC campaign, SGAC being the Space Generation Advisory Council. In my feature, I discussed how there's literally enough space, pun, for everyone in the space industry, and why it's important to see more people that look like me in the space industry. And after that feature, I was reached out by Nathan Johnson, one of the co-founders of the Space Court Foundation that I have known through the conference circuit. And then when he explained to me what was happening in Space Court, it was a no-brainer.
I joined the Space Court Foundation at the request of Nathan Johnson, one of the co-founders, who I had met actually through the Manfred Locke's Space Law Moot Court when I was a student at GW Law. I had, reached out to him saying I had, interest in helping to volunteer if needed. And, this opportunity arose to work with interns. I think having, being a first generation law student and, having to kind of find my way in this new career as a non-traditional returning student, it really was a great opportunity for me to think about how I could also help other people along in their journeys and learning about space law and policy and hopefully getting their foot in the door in a career in this field.
The people that are part of Space Court have a profound sense of the responsibility that the field of space law has to making sure that the industry and everyone's place in it is characterized by progress.
My role at Space Court is to support the research activities of the foundation. This involves overseeing research conducted by the interns for different projects, including the yearbook, we also have an audiovisual cases project, and also of course on Stellar Decisis, our animated series. I also manage the Women of Color interview series with my co-director Mac Lee and co-director Letitia Zarkan. And this series is one which aims to highlight the experiences of different minorities in the space sector, starting with women of color.
As the Deputy Executive Director, I support the chairs of the organization in terms of helping establish MOUs, reaching out to the schools to promote space law nationally and internationally, and helping the schools establish their space law society.
For me, the Space Court Foundation gives me the opportunity to continue researching and learning about emerging issues in space law outside of my day job. It keeps me involved with a very broad community of people with different perspectives and interests and different things to share. And it also helps me stay involved with other young professionals and students in law school who are still developing their interest and starting out in their careers.
Space Court Foundation is an excellent resource, I would say, for everyone who's involved in the space sector. For me personally, it connected me to a number of professionals. It provides an excellent network and a support system. It can introduce you to mentors, to colleagues in different areas of interest. And for me personally, this has been it's been very, very useful in terms of understanding and navigating the sector better.
It gives me a sense of giving back in a leadership capacity. I can actually say that I have leadership roles in an international organization. And that's huge when you consider how connected that the space law or space industry is.
Space Court Foundation brings a unique forum to the international space sector and one that is much needed. It's a place for students and young professionals to meet, to exchange views, to learn, and to also interact with other professionals. So far, this space is very much lacking. They usually exist only under a particular university or academic kind of institution. And Space Court Foundation breaks those barriers by existing through a global network and encouraging students from all countries, all nationalities, and all walks of life to apply.
I think we need to be training all kinds of lawyers. And I think anyone that has a background in a particular area of law, no matter what it is, from employment law to IP to whatever, you can apply it to space. And I think what's going to be interesting is when people realize that there's a certain set of rules that just don't work in space and others work perfectly fine. And we're going to have to negotiate those rules.
In my opinion, Space Court Foundation adds some missing pieces to the puzzle of this new space age that we're all experiencing. The industry is moving pretty fast. You blink, you might miss the next biggest development. And not only will you miss it, you won't understand how it came to be. And while there's obviously technology behind it, there's laws behind it. And some of these laws may be decades old or not, just recently established. Either way, these laws determine the trajectory and outcome of a lot of these space advancements.
Space Court Foundation is open to anyone who's interested in learning more about space. I would say that especially students who are in their undergrad, who are in their masters, even high school students are very much encouraged to join. And even if you're a professional, a young professional or mid-career professional, we welcome you to our community. This is a safe space for everyone to learn and for everyone to exchange views. And so really anyone who's anyone who's looking to learn more about space is welcome to join us.
Anyone who is interested in learning more about space law in finding out how they can research about space law or how they can add to the research that is going on should reach out to us about ways they can participate, whether it's by applying to our internship program or suggesting new programs to us or partnership opportunities, or even just subscribing to our YouTube channel to watch future videos.
Besides having an interest in space, if you have an interest in law, especially the people dynamic of law and in an international context, then Space Court Foundation is definitely for you. But don't take my word for it. Check out one of the various panels that we have or the content that we're always putting out, like our video series.
You can participate in any of our research programs. You can apply to our internship through our. You can apply to intern with Space Court Foundation and directly participate in some of our research activities. You can also join us and maybe contribute to outreach.
Currently under our internship program, any student of college age can apply and work with our brilliant officers, work on our programs, and develop programs themselves. We're looking for any intern with an interest in space activities, the rule of law, or space law. And we want them to find the areas that they have interest in and help develop that. And we're looking for self-starters. We're looking for people who have a passion for law and that really want to genuinely join the community. I think that's really important for the future. We're always looking for folks that can also, take up leading some of the research programs, of which we have several who will be in leadership positions on the editorial board and on the subcommittees, which will be doing the basic research starting in 2022. I think that if there was one thing I would be proud of is if we had a major impact on the current and future conversation about rules in space. I think it's really important to have a broader conversation. And if we can communicate to the public the utility of space law and get them to understand that they're basically just rules. Like we follow rules every day. You wear a seatbelt, you stop at a red light. If you don't, then there is some consequence. Responsibility, obligations are going to be incredibly important if we're going to move people off the planet. And they're going to be incredibly important to keep cooperation and social cohesion within those group of humans trying to do whatever they're trying to do in space. I'd like us to be part of that conversation about those types of rules and bridge the general public's understanding of space law and space activities with the space community in a way that's effective. It's communicating the right story, and it has a sense of being human, going into space and feeling responsible not only for yourself, but for the health and safety of those around you, because you don't get a second chance when you walk out of a habitat on the moon. It's not like walking out of a house on Earth, and people's perceptions of obligations are going to have to become stronger if they're going to be able to survive that harsh environment.
I hope what the Space Court Foundation adds to the world is greater access, not only to the resources and research materials that are the foundations of space law, but access to this industry and this career path for people from many different backgrounds, from different countries, and basically anyone who is interested in learning about it or pursuing it, that they have greater access to those things that will help them do so.
I think the biggest takeaway is that it's very much necessary to form these spaces and to be part of them yourself and contribute and be the change that you want to see. Space Court Foundation is that forum for a lot of people to find that community. It's a very safe learning space, and it's more flexible in terms of allowing all kinds of students and young professionals to join.
I hope what people take away from the Space Court Foundation is the idea that space law is a very real field, not just to the world, but to individuals, because it's an opportunity to think through how we relate to each other in a different context in space, but with lessons that we can learn and bring back to our terrestrial environment.
If we're going to venture forth, we need to do it under the banner of the rule of law and understand that people have rights and then people have also have obligations, and that we have to enforce both.
You are definitely laying the foundation for future space lawyers and space policy analysts that may be determining those rules of law like a court in the future. On top of that, this is just for people. You don't have to want to have a career in space law, but if you want to have the knowledge, power, and understanding of space law, then this organization is definitely for you.